Yes, there you have it. We're just starting to get into a fight right before the show, so we thought we'd have the fight now. And
Yes. Always right.
No, I didn't say I'm always right, but in this instance, I am.
No, the discussion, and we'll start the show right up here with this because this is a good one. Let's start the show right from now. What do you say?
Hey, ring the bell.
Tuesday, July 19th, 2016. Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, July 19th, 2016.
I'm Michael Lagello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen. Buy my book. Thank you.
And I'm Eklund, and nothing I am saying comes from Michelle Obama's speech from 2008 today. Nothing I am saying comes from that speech at all.
Hey, well, Melania Trump was just paying homage to Joe Biden because we know plagiarism was rife with Joe Biden.
I want to talk about this just for once. I hate talking politics. Okay, so I mean, obviously, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I will say this: I feel kind of bad for this woman. And this is why I feel bad for her. She was sold up the river by somebody. Some staffer wrote this who's pissed off at Trump and screwed her. And I mean,
it was theirs. Supposedly, she wrote it, or
that's the thing. Don't say that you worked hard on it.
Yeah.
She worked on it by being interviewed, and people talked to her about her thoughts, and then then ghostwriters tried to put it together.
Right.
And it's not fair to put this woman in front of all this pressure, and then to give her this stuff, which obviously somebody knew was going to screw her. And
well, this is her husband's doing, though. Don't put her in front at all.
Hey, I feel sorry for Melania Trump because she's married to Donald Trump.
Well, yeah,
she made those decisions, but I don't think one of the decisions of marrying a rich guy was ever to be possibly First Lady of the United States.
I think she'd be.
I mean, what if you put Scott Baio up there and he decides to say, I support Arthur Fonzarelli, and doesn't go with the script? It can happen.
I mean, I hate talking politics on this thing.
Me too.
Russ, the first thing he was going to say is, where's Chachi?
I know. That's the best I could get is Chachi.
Where's Joni?
Where's Joni?
But I feel like, I mean, I know my in-laws are Trump supporters, so I'll just throw it out there, and they feel like she did a good job at her speech, and they feel bad for her because, and I do feel bad for this woman. She's an immigrant. It's hard to be an immigrant.
How about this?
But I don't mean, and I say that with, of course, it is hard to be an immigrant.
Every side. This is the internet age. It's so easy to catch someone plagiarizing. Don't do it.
And it had to be somebody doing this on purpose to her.
Or if you're going to do that, say, well, as Michelle Obama said, which would have drawn loud rounds of boos.
Yeah, I mean,
cited the source.
Without the buzz, it's just hockey.
Yes. As was said last night on Colbert, the Republican convention is very united behind one person, Hillary Clinton, and their hatred of her.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's
old school Colbert was great last night, though.
Oh, wasn't it good?
Oh, it was great.
Song that ends with the party of Lincoln. Better start drinking.
Yeah,
but the fact that he went old school Colbert and brought back the word, it was great.
But he brought back his old character, we
only said to do that like 3 months ago.
Yeah, well, great. He can do that before he gets canceled because the way his show is going, it's going to get canceled.
Right. I mean, he should have done that 3 months ago.
He's not getting canceled. If Seth Meyers didn't get canceled, he's not getting canceled.
That's true.
Have you seen some of the horrible late night shows that have been on the air for years? I mean, he's not going anywhere.
Seth Meyers is at 12:30. That's the problem.
See Conan O'Brien.
There's not one of those shows that has kept my attention for me to keep watching, unfortunately.
This has been a TV show, but the guy after Colbert is awesome.
Oh, James Corden's great. James Corden's great.
Yeah, you didn't know. You knew it, but he didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I like about James Corden is his karaoke in the car.
Yeah, I was gonna say he sings in the car. Great, I could watch that on YouTube.
But other than that, it's like this.
Did you see his beginning of the what they call the Tonys? If you want to see something awesome, look for him. He hosted the Tonys, you know. Look for his opening thing on the Tonys. It was off the charts. It was amazing.
All right, let's get back into the argument.
Broadway now.
Let's get back into the hockey argument we were about to have.
We were having a hockey argument that does not at all plagiarize from anything, except for maybe Mike plagiarizing himself from earlier in the year, where Mike is saying that we're talking about could Kucherov possibly be signed to an offer sheet?
You can't plagiarize yourself.
No, you should, and sometimes you shouldn't.
And of course, I didn't watch the Tonys because that would have meant I had to watch Hamilton. But anyway.
So Dan brought up the question: could there be any truth to these rumors? And the concept, and honestly, there could be. I mean, I talked to people about this, and the situation is like Mike had said many times that signing Stamkos and signing Kucherov was going to be a very difficult proposition because you have Hedman as well. So teams have two players like that. The question is this: does the NHL really believe in Kucherov? That's like the question. Because if someone's going to go out there and throw a mega contract at him, like $8 million a year for 7 years, Tampa's not matching that.
Right.
Tampa will let that go happily and take the draft picks that come with it. Because Tampa's got a lot of depth. And honestly,
I don't know about that. See, Yzerman's a stubborn guy, and he might do the same thing every other GM does and sign, and match the sheet and then trade him down the line.
No, there's no better trade than you can't get a better trade than
three number ones.
It's not that. It's the stubborn factor, and we've seen most GMs sign the deal rather than losing the player. Now
I agree with you. Have in the past, but I've talked to people and they said they would not match it, and I do believe that because they're in the perfect spot not to match it. That would be an incredible thing for them. They have all the depth they need already, and to get all those draft picks from a team that probably is not going to be a great team if they're offering Kucherov all that money.
Right, and somebody else can look up the parameters, but I think it's up to like around $8 to $9 million. It's a 1, a 2, and a 3 for compensation for. So if you sign somebody to a $7 million a year contract for 7 years, it's a 1, a 2, and a 3. And you know what? A guy who scored 64 points and 66 points in the last 2 years, and 10 goals and 11 goals in the playoffs the last 2 years. Are you kidding me? Of course.
I do that in a heartbeat. 6 for 42 in a heartbeat.
And he's 23 years old. I mean, the question marks about Stamkos, and believe me, I was all in favor of Stamkos going to Toronto because of the reasons we talked about many a time. But this guy, I mean, I think he's proved at a very young age that he's a very sure player. He's shown that he is good in the regular season. He's good in the playoffs. He's a good scorer. He's a good team guy. I mean, I don't think there would be many teams, if they had the cap room, that would hesitate.
Yeah, I do think, because again, let's say I'm just going to use teams that I know about for players that I know are soon to be under bigger contracts. So let's just say, argument's sake, the New York Rangers signed Kucherov to an offer sheet. Well, then Tampa can go and sign Chris Kreider to an offer sheet, and that's that's
a win for the Rangers. Are you kidding me?
Now, I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying, of course, that would be good for the Rangers.
Do the Rangers have draft picks?
Listen, we're not saying that this would happen. All I'm saying is the chain reaction of this would start again, and I don't think it's going to happen as a result of that.
I wouldn't think twice about losing Chris Kreider for Kucherov. I wouldn't think
that. That's not the point.
But that's the deterrence that's going on in the NHL right now. And I honestly, sometimes I think it's just a line of BS because they sell it out there. We can't go out and sign a restricted free agent to an offer sheet because A, the team will match, and B, if they do, that opens us up to retribution every time we have a restricted free agent. Well, you know what? Baloney. If you see an opportunity out there to sign a restricted free agent and it fits into your budget and it fits into your plan, then go ahead and do it and screw everybody else.
This is the worst year to do it because the cap. Everybody didn't plan for the cap to barely go up. So this is the worst year to do it because if one team's going to get stung, then a couple of teams could get stung for sure. And there's nothing you can do about it then.
But see, the thing is, Russ, and I agree with what your points are, but the thing is, a team like Tampa Bay, this is the perfect scenario for the offer sheet. A team that is up against the cap, a team that's got players like Johnson and Palat next year.
And Drouin
next year, and then Kucherov this year that are all RFA, and they simply cannot afford to pay all of them, and they can't, they can't.
San Jose's got some nice RFAs coming up too.
Good. Then they should be
Tampa will clip one of them. Maybe it's one of their defensemen. I mean,
they're not the level of the Lightning RFAs.
Hey, listen, I mean, they have some good RFAs coming. Trust me.
Is it named Couture, Pavelski? No, they're not. Come on, they're not. Was it Donskoy? Is that the RFA?
Donskoy.
He's not Tyler Johnson. He's not Palat. He's not Kucherov.
The bottom line is because of the salary cap. Because of the salary cap at this point in time, draft picks have never been more important. Everybody's all the time, and getting draft picks and losing the cap hit of Kucherov at the same time is a win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that's now not to say that Kucherov is a bad player. Obviously, they chose Stamkos over Kucherov. You could say fine, but I think that at the end of the day, I think they won't. I doubt an offer sheet's coming. But I'm saying I don't think Tampa would match it. I really would doubt an offer sheet because the draft picks are so important to everybody, and because that that, and because draft picks are so cheap to everybody, that those two combinations of things right now, that's the only way you can build your team. We've talked about yesterday, how we're not seeing guys, getting signed away, that free agency is dying or whatever. God help us here at Hockey Buzz, but it's
here's 2 offer sheets that San Jose would not like to see someone else sign. One of them is Hurdle in 18-19. One of them is Mirko Mueller in 17-18.
Right.
Those are good players.
Washington.
They're good players. They are good players.
Washington with Kuznetsov next year and Burakovsky next year. I mean, especially Kuznetsov. I mean, you sign a team needing a number 2 center. You sign him to an offer sheet, and you pay him around $6.5 to $7 million. I mean, the only thing that I think Washington will end up matching it because they have a lot of UFAs. But I don't understand unless there's collusion, and we've always said that there's, that's the naughty C word. But there's an unwritten understanding between some of these general managers that I won't do it to your guy if you don't do it to my guy. Right. But honestly, there's opportunities here to improve your team and not give up a ton of draft picks.
Right.
And a guy like Kucherov, if a guy like Kucherov gets added to a team that is on the cusp, my God, I mean,
I don't think it's collusion. I think it's just sort of like a code, like Dan's not going to go out with one of your ex-girlfriends because he's friends with you.
Because they don't exist.
I think it's. I don't think it's anything but finances. I really don't, because they don't exist.
Are we talking about my ex-girlfriends, Dan?
Yes.
Don't exist.
That's correct.
I just got that one. All right. The bottom line is, I do think we are in the era where a team wouldn't match an offer sheet, and even though teams talk about matching an offer sheet, it depends on the team, of course, and it depends on the level of player. Kucherov is not the guy in Tampa. Okay, he's third. Okay,
right.
Arguably third, right? So he's the third guy in Tampa.
Yeah.
Matching the guy, like when you hear people come out and say, like last year, Ryan Johansson, will match Ryan Johansson or whatever, he's the guy in Columbus. Or this year, who was it this year? Tyson Barrie, maybe, it wasn't the guy. No, there are other people this year that we heard. McKinnon, right. Okay, right. It's one thing to offer sheet the face of a team. It's another thing to offer sheet Kucherov, who in a market like Tampa is not the face of the team. And it's not it wouldn't be the face of the team anyway, because they've consciously chosen Stamkos, which is not a bad decision.
And
Hedman to be the face of their team, and and they're not even holding too hard on Bishop. I mean, they are really just, and they're looking at Vasilevsky. So yeah, I mean, and they'll take those draft picks because that ensures the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay Lightning's not going to get great draft picks in the next couple of years if they're a good team. This could be a good draft pick they get. This first round draft pick they get from somebody, depending on who it is, could be.
System's loaded. I don't think this is what they want.
A team that's going to sign an offer sheet is not a team that's at the bottom of the league. It's going to be a team that's in the middle or near the top of the league because their draft picks aren't worth as much. And I just looked it up. Up to $7.3 million, the compensation is a 1, a 2, and a 3. So if somebody offers Kucherov a 1, a 2, and a $7.3 million times 7 years, I don't think Tampa's matching it.
No, if you traded for him straight up, you'd be giving up more assets that are more valuable than a 1, a 2, and a 3.
I disagree. In the old days, you used to get 3 or 4 number 1s. I forget what it was.
Yeah, now it's 4 number 1s for anybody over 9.1.
Right.
Look,
it's worth it. If you get 4 number 1s, it's worth it. A 1, 2, and a 3, not worth it.
Right.
I'm talking about the team that would be trading for Kucherov. Yeah.
I'm surprised at the draft. I mean, I think it's the combination of getting those picks and getting that money. I mean, getting that money back because this is a team that's in trouble. So looking around, we're in the office and we're having a meeting and we're saying, okay, we can get 3 picks for Kucherov. We get that money. Now we can sign everybody without having to worry about it.
But or they could buy out Matt Carl. Like, there's other things they could do.
Anyway, they need to do.
Buy him out twice.
They already have the Matt Carl.
That's right, they did
that.
You move Bishop, that helps too.
This is the thing, Ak. I mean, if you're talking about a Stamkos situation where he was making $7.5 million and you didn't sign him, then you're clearing cap space and you can use that money someplace else. Kucherov is coming off an entry-level deal when he was making less than $900,000. So you're not clearing anything. You're just getting the draft picks. That's why.
Because you're paying that money. If he stays, you're paying that money. So you're getting that money. That money is going. You're paying him at least, even on a bridge deal, you're paying him at least 5 or 6, right? So even then, even if they go to arbitration or whatever, they can go to. I don't think they can't go to arbitration, right? But on any bridge deal, or whatever, you're going to have you're at least paying them 5 or 6. You're getting that money back. Those draft picks, probably aren't going to come to your team for at least 1 or 2 years. They're going to entry-level contracts for 3 years after that. Sorry, it's my phone. Yeah, I think
is that the Knight Rider theme?
Yeah, I know. That is my Knight Rider team. It's very good.
I don't think Tampa wants any part of this. I think they would match it. That's just my feeling.
I don't think they could. But I don't think they'll have to. I honestly don't.
We all said we didn't think Nashville could either for their reasons, and they did too.
But that's the guy. Okay, that's Shea Weber.
I know.
That's a different situation. That's like
Right. It's not like they offer sheeted. I don't know. Hypothetically, James Neal.
Well,
okay. Right.
Here's the thing. All right, wait. Here's something that has not happened in the NHL world, but happens all the time in the NFL world. Could Steven Stamkos go to Steve Yzerman if this happens and say, "I'll rework my deal so you could fit in Kucherov"? I believe you could do that.
I don't think you can do that in the NHL.
I don't think you can either.
I'm not sure about that. I think you probably
I'm pretty sure you can't.
Yeah?
I got to find out, but I'm pretty sure you cannot do that.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
it happened in the NHL, and it would have happened by now, I think.
Well, take this as an example. I know the compensation would be higher. It would be 2 firsts, a second, and a third. But right now, Tampa has got a salary structure with Stamkos taking, quote, a hometown discount to stay there. If somebody offered Kucherov in an offer sheet more than Stamkos, that throws the salary structure with Tampa Bay out the window. I don't think they match that if Kucherov on an offer sheet is making more than Stamkos. Just like I think Colorado.
I disagree. I think someday someone's going to make more on the Penguins than Sidney Crosby because he signed his deal a long time ago. I think these players understand that. I don't think they care.
I think John Tavares understands why he's not the highest paid player on the Islanders right now.
Right.
Yeah, but
speaking of which, of the Islanders, I would offer Kucherov in a heartbeat. 6 years, $42 million. I give them the first, second, and third round picks. I'd still have all my prospects on my team, and I put in the Kucherov next to Tavares and go to town.
The Islanders do that. The Islanders are the ideal team to do that. They would be. I mean, to me, or Arizona would be a good team to do that too.
I was thinking Arizona too. That's another team that keeps.
First-year GM would never do it.
He seems pretty aggressive so far.
Yeah, but he'll lose trade partners real quick. You do that, and there'll be a whole slew of GMs that will not deal with you.
That's a good point. I want to get into my rumors. We'll discuss my rumors in a second here, but of Shattenkirk. But I thought Zibanejad, interesting quote yesterday. It's not like all my energy is going to prove Ottawa wrong. I want to prove the Rangers right. So he's saying the right things moving into New York. He's not leaving no bad feelings.
Well, he also said he'd love to play at MSG full time, like he enjoyed playing there, like anybody would, any hockey player would.
He feels like a Ranger type player, in a lot of ways.
He stands out. When you watch him play, he stands out. The more I thought about this trade after we got off the air, I think this is a trade for a good trade for both teams right now. I think Ottawa gets get some depth down the blue line. They get experience. Now the Turris and Brassard as your top 2 centers. I like that. And I like Zibanejad in the Rangers lineup as a number 2 center. He's quick. He's a little bit bigger. He can play. He plays in both zones. I think he is a good Ranger. I think he's going to fit in really well there.
But I mentioned this to Russ after the show, and ironically, I dug into the behind the numbers after we got off the webcast yesterday, and of course, Ottawa saves money on this deal. Of course, typical Ottawa being fiscally restrained, which is to me one of the reasons. I'm going to write about this a little later on. One of the reasons I think Ottawa is never going to contend for the Stanley Cup with Eugene Melnyk as their owner. I mean, in this deal, Zibanejad, his deal was backloaded, so he's actually making more than his cap hit for the last year of this deal. Mm-hmm. So he's making around 3.25. And after Brassard had his bonus paid by the Rangers, he's making less. Brassard is under contract for 2 more years at a $5 million cap hit, but his actual money is $3.5 million. Zibanejad's an RFA. He's probably going to make a lot more than $3.5 million. So of course, Ottawa saved money.
Right.
But here's the other factor that does make it good for Ottawa too. We forget that Brassard's a local kid, so he's an Ottawa kid. So that's, even though he's 30, he's an Ottawa guy, so he'll bring in some fans. He played with Boucher in Drummondville, so there's that connection. So, that part all works too. It's not a bad trade for either one. I understood why Ranger fans were mad because they became attached to the player. He's a good-looking guy. There's a lot of women that like him. There's that factor too. But at the end of the day, you have to make a trade that gets yourself younger and faster, especially when you're the New York Rangers and when you lost Carl Hagel and you lost a lot of speed.
Yeah, the Rangers are going to be interesting this year. With the added speed with Zibanejad's nice. I am very intrigued to see what their bottom six looks like. They signed. They signed. It's almost like they're going the way of the Penguins. They signed Grabner. They signed Gerby. They have Fost and Lindbergh down there. They have a lot of speed, but really not a lot of size. And I'm just very interested to see how that works. And now it could work, and it could be amazing, and they could be high energy, or they could get run over on an everyday basis. It's going to be interesting.
Pretty good size. I always forget his last name. They just got him the other day. He's like the star.
Josh Joris.
Yeah, he's
like 6. I looked him up. He's like 6'1". He's
6'1".
He's like the tallest of all of them.
Yeah. But that's a fill-in, and they also have like a guy like Stephen Fogarty who's probably pretty close to making it.
Yeah.
But now you kind of wonder if he's got a logjam. But he's also like a really sturdy 6'1", 6'2".
I'm just really intrigued to see that bottom six. I think it could be really exciting, or it could be something that blows up in their face.
Whereas Philadelphia is going the opposite direction, they add a big guy like Dale Weiss, so it's like sort of. You're having competing styles here. I mean, I think the Rangers are
not slow either. I mean, Weiss is a fast player too.
Weiss fast, but he's big. He's
got good speed though. He's not slow.
I don't know if he's fast. I don't know if he can.
When you watch that Montreal team, he was part of the Montreal team that could fly. He was part of that team. He was indeed.
Well, I'm just saying that he's not like Connor Sherry. He's not like.
No, he's not like that kind of like a spark plug type player, but he's just as fast as most of those players. He's just bigger. Doesn't look like he's as fast maybe, but Derek Brassard found out about the trade to the Sens via text message from Marty St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. He could have been watching Hockey BuzzCast. He would have found out. But we talked about it just as it happened. Apparently, some Jeff Gordon and others. This is from according to Ian Mendez's Twitter. Jeff Gordon and others tried calling Brassard first, but couldn't reach him. Apparently, they didn't try texting him.
There's this.
It's one thing to like say, does St. Louis just have a different phone number than Jeff Gordon?
It's probably like Gordon tells his assistant, "Go call him and tell him," and then the assistant goes, "I can't get him," and doesn't think she could text him or he could text him.
Yeah, like kids this age. I know. But a lot of these players don't answer their phones.
Right.
Ever. Like the only way you can get in touch with them is if I want to talk to. Yeah, if I want to talk to a player, I have to text them and say, "Give me a call." That's like the only way you can. I mean, they're not going to answer their phones.
No.
So I mean, that's kind of a ridiculous. They should have definitely tried texting.
He's a good guy though. He wasn't even like upset, and actually, when he thought about it, said, "Hey, he kind of always wanted to play there." Now we have talked about this. What happens when a player goes home and it doesn't always work out?
David Clarkson.
It can be tricky because of a lot of reasons, and it's always an interesting one for me. One of the biggest reasons is because you have a lot of friends there who want tickets and things like that, and you've got a lot of distractions.
Well, don't worry, that's not a problem in Ottawa.
That's not true.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on. How
about the Minnesota Wild placing Jordan Schrader on waivers?
Yeah, Craig Button made a point, and I agree with him. He's thinking they did that for a reason to show he should be on a two-way deal, and I get that because look, there are times where you want him on your team, but he's probably not an everyday NHL player.
Right.
And so he might be that guy you put in there for a couple weeks, get a spark, scores a few goals, you bring him down. There's another injury. A couple weeks later, you bring him up. But they had him to a one-way deal, so they were like, it's not worth it to us.
Well, I mean, does this mean he's completely released? I mean, because basically, I
guess he has to go. I guess he's
got to pick him up, right?
He still has an arbitration hearing.
He's got an arbitration. I mean, I guess they're not going to.
He has an arbitration with nobody, but they'll give him an award, and then it'll be up to a team, I guess, if they maybe want to accept the award. Is that what will happen?
No, he's on waivers, but it doesn't mean he's not Wild property unless he's claimed. I mean, the Wild's going to go to arbitration with him, and then just like we've seen guys go put on waivers and play that same night. Like we've seen that.
Right.
This is like a case of that. And this is more or less like some people are speculating, this is more just negotiation in a way, like that they're saying, okay, we don't even care about you as much. We put you on waivers for crying out loud. It doesn't matter. That's kind of a jerk move if that's true, but I don't think that that's necessarily true. Kessel brought the cup back to the sick kids hospital in Toronto, which is
the only way you can get the cup in Toronto.
Wait, can I say something about the hospital for sick children in Toronto? I actually lived there for like 2 months because I had an operation done on my hip. I couldn't walk till I was 5. The only doctor in the world was a doctor named David Salter. He's got a wing named after him there. He did the operation on me. I've never had a problem with that hip since. That is one of the great hospitals in the world, and so anytime anything good happens to them, it really makes me happy because I owe them a big debt as well.
That's great.
This is in response to Dan's comment.
This is. I mean, there's some good pictures. And this is the thing about Phil Kessel. You never really see this Phil Kessel too often.
No.
Yeah, or anything like that. But I'll always say this story, but I just real quickly. I mean, I've seen Kessel really comfortable around kids. Like he is at his best quite often around children.
You see this Phil Kessel as often as you used to see him in the Leafs defensive zone.
I think he's not comfortable around the media. He's just someone who's not comfortable.
He does not like the media at all. It wasn't just in Toronto. It started before that.
I retweeted this, and it's great, and I give Phil a lot of credit for doing this. And he apparently loves Toronto, and he has a lot of friends in Toronto, and I guess he's keeping his condo or his apartment in Toronto. So I mean, he's going to.
Did you look up where Kessel Court was? Where was that?
I didn't. I couldn't find it. If anybody knows out there, because there was a picture,
and it says like Kessel Court or Kessel Street. And we don't know where that is, but Amanda Kessel was drinking out of the cup.
Yeah, and his brother too.
He seemed to get more pub than Phil for having the cup. It was
it's pretty cool. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. I think that, I mean, to me, like my favorite moment with covering Phil Kessel was at the U.S. Olympic camp before Sochi, where he was just playing street hockey in the hall with a bunch of kids, and he was just out there doing it, and he was having a blast. He was cracking up and laughing and just these are just kids who were just like there to check out, and he's like they were playing street hockey. He saw them playing street hockey, he grabbed a stick and started and joined in, and they were just they were loving it. I mean, and this was like this is the deal with this guy. He's not it's
Russ. It's in
that way.
It's in Madison, Wisconsin. Kessel Court is in Madison, Wisconsin, which he was there for one day, and that makes sense.
Right. I will say this about Kessel. I realized when I covered him at the World Juniors, pre-draft, that he was more comfortable on the ice and was always going to be one of those guys that was more comfortable on the ice. That's all.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. I mean, and that's fine. He doesn't have to be good and comfortable with media. It's not a requirement for him. There are other people out there who can be comfortable with the media.
With that being said, he is clearly more comfortable in Pittsburgh. This is the most comfortable you've seen him at any stop.
Well, I think so for a lot of reasons, right? Because I just ate something. Like you caught me just eating something, but I think you're absolutely right because remember, in Pittsburgh, he falls down the chain quite far. He
doesn't have to be the guy. Right.
I mean, Crosby. Then people go to Malkin. People go to
Letang,
and Neil. They'll go to other players way before him. So that to me is the really interesting thing. What's going on in Russia today, Mike?
Well, I mean, there was some fallout regarding this Maldonium situation with the Russian Olympic team. Essentially, it sounds like the Russian Olympic team, the entire Olympic team, is going to be banned. I mean, it hasn't been announced yet, but it sounds like it's going down that road. And what I thought when I heard that was, I mean, we know that the situation had happened with the under-18s, but what's going to happen when these Russian players, there are some Russian players like Nikita Zaitsev for the Leafs and a few others that are coming over from the KHL. Now, they're going to be tested by the NHL. If I'm not sure if the NHL testing has Maldonium as a banned substance.
It will now.
Last I heard, I don't think it does.
Right. But if they change it, which I would assume there has to be an agreement or some sort of okay from the PA before they can.
And you're right. And the reason, let's not rip the NHL on this. The reason that I don't believe it's been in the testing is because it's mainly an Eastern European product and made over there and taken over there, and so it's not been anything that has been a problem or even thought to be a problem in the league. But now, I would have to test for it.
Right, and I mean, I'm not just Zaitsev, and I have no idea. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he hasn't been taking it, but a lot of Russian players.
You have to test everybody. You can't just test
right.
them.
Right, they have to test everybody. But the thing is, especially these incoming Russian players that signed from the KHL that were drafted or that are coming over.
Oh, I'm sorry. This thing sucks for the Russian athletes. I mean, I really think it's. I mean, think about your life in Russia. Like, it's tough. I mean, the one thing I like about hockey players.
But it's not tough for Maria Sharapova. She knew what she was doing.
No. But most.
Yeah, but she's lived in the United States since she was like 5.
But she knew what she was doing. But she had to get it sent to the United States.
I'm just saying, she wasn't growing up in the shadows of Chernobyl.
Right. I went exactly. I went to a party the other day, and some guy asked me, "So what's it like covering the NHL? And what are different players from different countries like?" And I said, the Canadians are usually pretty laid back, and a lot of farm kids, a lot of really down to earth kids. Some of the Americans are the same way. Occasionally you get like the richer American kids who grew up, because you have to be rich to play sometimes hockey in America, unfortunately. And you get some of them have a little bit of an attitude, but most of them are still pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then the Russians are incredibly humble because they grew up in such a crazy environment. And they're over here now in and this is paradise. I mean, it's like absolute paradise. They realize that, some of them remember waiting in line to get food, to get meat, their weekly, they remember this still. It's like with their parents, this is, and I just thinking about what's going on with all the Russians right now, I just think that, oh my gosh, there's so many people who put in so much effort just to get to this one opportunity. It really bothers me. This really does bother me that they're being banned.
Well, I mean, it bothers you and it bothers a lot of people because it was a state-sponsored thing.
Right.
It's not like these players were saying, okay, we're all going to take meldonium. They were basically being told by their doctors, take it. So I mean. But the thing is, if the
big difference, I mean, how much of an enhancing drug is this? Like, I want to know more about this. Like, I want to know, like, is this going to make, because to really take away, and not only that, but just with what's going on in the world right now, isn't it important to like get all the countries here? Is it a good idea?
They're playing fair, Eck, and they're not playing fair.
I know, but we have to realize that playing fair is so subjective. I mean, there are people who are out there, really like souping up or trade, like what, the bicycler did, trading blood and all that stuff. That I get that's obviously completely ridiculous and trying to beat the system, right? But some of these things, like, you're taking this medicine or you're drinking caffeine before you go to work out. You're doing all kinds of. There's all sorts of. To me, it's like, where is the line? And then are we really killing? And why are we ruining lives of these kids who've worked?
I'll tell you why. Because Putin is a lot like Hitler in the sense that if he wins, what he is going to do is saying we are better than the U.S. and that is his motive.
No, I know, but it's not about him.
Pump the brakes there with the comparison a little bit.
No, I'm just saying in attitude. That's it.
No,
yeah, I mean there was in 1936 there was an effort to make to prove that the Germans were the master race in that Olympics. And I don't know if steroids were around at that time, but I do know that in East Germany in the 1980s there were women runners and there were women biathletes and triathletes. They basically had 5 o'clock shadows because they were taking so many steroids. So
I just think that.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's horrible. But that was and then I don't Putin is his own. There's all kinds. We don't want to get into that, but to me the idea here is that I know there's NHL players who are married to Olympians who aren't going to go to the Olympics right now.
Which thanks, I agree.
And I mean that just having gotten to know these Russians, they're so humble and so thankful for this opportunity to do what they do for a living. I really just can't help but think about the people who worked really hard over there.
Sure, I get it.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on to rumors. No, sorry.
Well, just one thing, Russ. What about this hockey game in Vegas?
Yeah, there's going to be a North Dakota-Minnesota game in Vegas, which looks like it might be the first game in Vegas, and that's kind of cool.
That's great.
The Citi Field, when that first opened, also had a college baseball game, and I went to it. Can't remember who it was. It was like St. John's somebody. A lot of times that's what ends up opening up a place, and I think that'll be great. That's a good way to sort of see how the sightlines are, see how everything's going to be. It's a good test for them, and so a date should be announced soon.
We should go. we should test out the city as a viable hockey franchise.
And we should see if the sightlines are better than Barclays.
And this is the point about Vegas.
Well, they probably are.
every group of guys that get together that are friends or whatever, they're saying the same thing about like when their team goes there. This is why Vegas will be successful for a while because people are like, we got to go. Like I've talked to Eric, Hockey Buzz, my buddy, and we were like, yeah, we're definitely going to. We're going to go see the Flyers play and cover the Flyers in Vegas. There's no question about that. Why wouldn't we? Right. And that happens with everybody. So yeah, rumors. There's a lot of people I talked to yesterday, okay, that really think this Brassard deal is tied to Shattenkirk and the Rangers attempt to get him. That this clears the cap space that they needed to make that happen.
He will re-sign there, too.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think they're going to take a player, again, like Yandel, this time only 1 year instead of 2,
right,
with no guarantee he's going to sign.
No, I agree with that. I agree with you.
He'll sign there. He's a Ranger fan.
We don't know he's going to sign there.
He'll sign there.
You know what? For all we know, his agent has him fixed on the fact that he is going to wait and see what the market bears. He might give the first opportunity to the Rangers, but you saw what happened with that and Keith Yandel. I don't think anybody does a sign and trade that way. I think if you go look at next year's market, and I don't know what it is, I would probably say Shattenkirk being the top 2 or 3 defensemen available. There's no way the Rangers be able to pay the same money as if he were on the open market. No way.
The leader in the free agent market next year on defense is probably Brent Burns, but he'll probably end up getting signed by San Jose. Right. But yeah, I mean, I think that's very plausible. But the thing is that it also opens up the cap room for them to sign Kreider to an extension.
That's what I think it was for.
Right, like they did with Stepan, and Russ has said many a time, Kreider is a Jeff Gorton guy. Right. So so there are both possibilities there. I don't think there's.
If you're a Ranger fan, If you're a Ranger fan, are you?
When he was with the Bruins, he did.
Good, Dan.
If you're a Ranger fan, are you okay with giving a 4 or 5 year deal to Chris Kreider?
See, I don't know what what do you want from this guy? Like at his age,
30 and 30, with his potential, it just seems like you just keep hearing potential and potential. Everybody's saying how great but then he just disappears in long stretches.
I understand that. He had a pretty good second half, though.
Yeah. He did have a good second half, but it's just there's so many peaks and valleys in this game, and it's just like if he could be consistent, he could be a Rick Nash type player.
Yeah, but I could also tell you, forget about the Rick Nash. I don't think that's fair. But I think what's fair is I also saw where he would get 2 or 3 stretch passes a game, and AV completely went past that for half a season, didn't even do that, and Kreider was getting a lot of goals that way because one-on-one, nobody was able to stop him. But again, I'm going to look at his numbers. I don't think they were disappointing at all, and I think people are just too hard on him based on the fact that he was like a Ranger first-rounder. He had 21 goals, 22 assists. I think that's okay. I think he could do better too. But I don't think this is like a bad season, and people are like, well, just give him a 2-year deal. And that's fine. You could give Chris Kreider a 2-year deal, but when Chris Kreider becomes eligible to be in a UFA, he will take it. And you will not be able to lock up.
It just seems like he always has an incomplete season. There's really good stretches, and there's just parts of his season that are...
Right? Power forwards, that's the nature of it. It is. I mean, name me a power forward, and how old is he? He's 25. Before the age of 25, that's really consistent. It's hard. It's not. There's not that many.
And Gorton and Sather have to look at the landscape when it comes to the Rangers. If you don't lock up Kreider for a long-term 5-6 years, in 2 years Nash is a free agent. He's gone. Maybe next year he's gone because I think they're going to expose him to expansion, and that would be somebody that Vegas probably would gobble up in about 2 seconds because they could pick him up. Use him as a commodity, flip him at the deadline, pay 50% of his salary, and get a good return for him. So I think Vegas would claim him. But I mean, it leaves you a gap in terms of a power forward. I'm not saying Kreider would be able to match what Nash is, but I think he'd be able to fit in adequately, and he wouldn't be making anywhere close to what Nash is making.
I mean, his numbers aren't far off from Bobby Ryan, and Bobby Ryan makes a heck of a lot more money.
Yeah.
No, it's true. That's a good point. Before we get into the numbers game that we play here, I wanted to mention again that the Hockey BuzzCast is brought to you by you, viewers like you, and we really appreciate it. Basically, what you have to do is, if you want to support the show, is go to patreon.com/hockey. So that's patreon.com/hockey, and there you'll see the various prizes you can get for doing $1 a month, $5, $10, $25 a month. And what you'll do is you really give us a chance to bring the show to you. In like different ways and improve. We had some really good. We had a really good meeting yesterday among us before the show. We actually did get together. We joke about having those like pre-game meetings. We actually did have a meeting yesterday, and we talked about things we want to do. And there's a lot of cool ideas out there. A lot of cool.
And here's something I'll give away for $20 a month. David Krejci autograph, dual memorabilia card from Artifacts, numbered to 50. Nice card for a Bruins fan for $20 a month.
Nice, excellent. So I appreciate that, and we have.
And I've sent out all my other prizes, so.
Yes.
I will give an unopened, still in the plastic, post-serial rookie set.
Let me go find something. I'll be right back.
With Jeff Bagwell and Danny Tartable on the back.
Oh no, Danny Tartable.
This is priceless, and this is worth $25 a month. So give it up now.
There you go, $25. Yeah, and like I said, for $1,000 you can get the Hockey Buzz bell back there, which is and you can ring it. It's nice to have if you have kids. You're like, get out of here. So that's always good to have when it's a good way of keeping kids from fighting.
Or starting them to fight.
The real key for us is just that you guys are helping out, and we really appreciate it. We'll have a show on Friday. Again, like we did last Friday, where we have where you guys can come on the show. Like it's a special Patreon only show. It's posted on patreon.com/hockey, and the link is there, and you can go and watch it if you're a subscriber. And last week we had 3 guys on, and they talked to us. We had a fun time with them. We answered questions. One was a Tampa Bay guy. One was a Rangers guy.
I think what was good for them, not to interrupt, was that we sort of like mono-focused on what their interest was for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Basically, exhausted us with questions and scenarios about their team, and we just told them what we thought, and they seemed to appreciate it, and at least it gives the listener what they want, and I think that's a fun thing.
Dan, what do you have?
Okay, for $5 a month, a Sabres fan could get this Jack Eichel OPG Platinum rookie.
Whoa, very nice.
All right. An Oilers fan for $5 a month can get this Connor McDavid OPG Platinum rookie.
Wow,
nice.
Awesome.
Okay, for $10 a month, a Predators fan could get this Kevin Fiala OPG Platinum Blue Refractor autograph rookie.
Nice.
And for $10 a month, a Flames fan could get this Sam Bennett jersey rookie card.
Whoa, very nice. Thanks, Dan. So what if you guys when you subscribe and you want one of these prizes, just throw it in there into the
Or if you're just a fan of that player too, you can just say, hey, here's the it doesn't have to just be a Flames fan.
That's really cool. We appreciate it. It helps so much, and
or if you're a fan of any one of us individually, you can give $1 million a month.
Right. Remember, the big thing is this, if you can't subscribe and people can't subscribe, that's totally fine. I know money's really hard right now, everywhere.
It is. We understand that.
Right. If you can't do it,
if you give $1 and say you dislike Mike, I will send you something.
Just keep watching the show. Just keep watching the show. Tell your friends about it. Keep subscribing.
Wait, if that's the case, then we're gonna have about $10,001 donations.
If we can raise $100,
it's like Bernie Sanders. We're gonna feel the burn.
We already have Adam in the chat room says he wants the Eichel card. Go for that. Go for that.
All right, good. Just sign up and make the donation and let me know where to mail it.
Show me the money.
Well, you know what? Like here's an example. Maybe the top Toronto Maple Leafs fan wants to get in on this Morgan Riley auto card. DM me.
That's a really nice card. That's a really nice card.
It's a really great card, but I'm not giving it up for $5 a month. So DM me.
Yeah.
Sportsology, and if we come to an agreement, I'll send it to you.
And I'll throw in the 1988 O-Pee-Chee Wendell Clark card.
Now that's your favorite player too. That's something.
It is, but we're talking about $25 a month.
I know. There we go.
It actually has game used Mike at Jello Tears. He's probably cried on that card.
Unplug your microphone, Dan.
Yeah, we'll get Mike a new mic. We'll have to get Dan a new USB input thing at some point. All right, so let's get into what we did yesterday, which was kind of fun. We started this thing. We're doing the best of all time, or the GOAT, as my hip young daughter says, the greatest of all time. So that would be yesterday we did number 1, which of course is goalies. And you guys, we each put in our own votes for this. Jack Plant was Mike's. Actually, Terry Sawchuk's Dan. I put in George Vezina, or Georges Vezina, as I was told. And Bernie unfortunately was put in by Russ, and Bernie Perrant was put in by Jill. Where and I actually took a fan submission because a lot of you wanted a write-in vote of Johnny Bauer, so put in that as well. So we had that in, and the results are in from what you guys said, and it was pretty close. I will say we'll start at the bottom here. At the very bottom was Russ and me, essentially. Now this, of course, to be fair, we had Russ went first and I went last. So I think Russ's failures are way more.
With my heart too. Also, the guy won 4 cups. I mean, come on.
True, that's true.
But Gump Worsley got only 1.85% of the votes of the 2,000 of you that voted, where Vezina got 8.37, Johnny Bauer got 13.55, Bernie Perrant 16.79. We obviously have a lot of Flyers fans, so we appreciate that. And then the top vote getter, though, and this is going to go, this officially ends right now. So I want to refresh this because it's so close. Let me see. Refresh the vote getting here because this is how close it is. The battle between Mike's Jacques Plante and Dan's Terry Salchuk. Well, actually, Salchuk was my pick if I had gotten it in time. Jacques Plante wins with 30.84% over Salchuk's 28.47. So there we have Jacques Plante.
I'll tell you the one cool thing about Jacques Plante that maybe some people know and maybe some haven't picked up on. He was always wearing a towel over his head. He was always cold.
Really?
Yes. If you go find him in old Ranger pictures, he had a towel on his head. If you go look at Montreal pictures, he had a towel on his head. For some reason, he was always cold.
Well,
I guess like when we were kids I remember going to the library in elementary school and getting the hockey book that had all about goalies, and it would teach you that Jacques Plante, of course, was the guy who was the first to wear a mask in a game, So that's, many young people might not realize that, but that is actually.
So I guess he started wearing the mask because his face was cold.
Because he wasn't stupid. It was just stupid. Unbelievable to me. So now we're going to move on to number 2 today, which is obviously more defensive oriented. Goaltending. Actually, I couldn't even come up with a number 2 that wasn't a defenseman in my list. But I think today, since we went, the order yesterday was Russ, then Mike, then Dan, then me. We're going to start with Mike today, and I'm going to work our way so then Russ will go last.
Okay.
You're up first.
For me, this was pretty easy. 6-time Stanley Cup champion, 7-time Norris Trophy winner, Doug Harvey. I think he was an 11-time NHL All-Star, won all of his cups with the Canadiens in the late 50s and early 60s. Then went to St. Louis in expansion and played well for them too. Doug Harvey is my choice.
He won 7 Norris trophies in an 8-year span.
Some pretty good. Think he was the greatest defenseman ever. There are many that think that.
Yeah, he was something else, and part of that Canadian team, of course, that was just so freaking dominant. But then also won the Norris as a Ranger, so it's just kind of crazy,
Yeah, his first year with the Rangers was great. After that, he just started tailing off. He was an older player.
Right. Yeah. All right. What do you got, Dan?
I'm going to go with number 2, but predominantly from the St. Louis Blues, Al MacInnis.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's just one of the greatest players I've ever seen play. That slap shot, one of the most feared offensive players, but boy, he could play defense too. Great all-around player, Hall of Famer. Just really someone who spoke to my generation growing up. And I just remember I talked to Jocelyn Thibault. The day after, I think Thibault was on the Canadiens at the time. It was about to play the Whalers, and his hand was all wrapped up. And I said, Jocelyn, what's wrong? He's like, I caught a MacInnis slap shot in the heel of my glove, and I broke 2 fingers.
And imagine, for most of his career, he used a wooden stick.
That's right. Could you imagine MacInnis playing now with those composite sticks?
Yeah, it would be crazy. The best thing I can tell you about MacInnis is I went to the Hall of Fame pre-ceremony, and they had him, Messier, I think it was Scott Stevens. It was a heck of a class, and MacInnis was just a great guy to talk to, and his son's a great player too. Ryan is a heck of a player as well. So you're going to see a lot from him. I think Al MacInnis is a great choice.
That's a great pick. Now
not as good as my choice, but it's a great choice.
I don't want to steal your thunder. I don't want to steal your thunder, Russ.
I don't want to steal your thunder, Russ. I kind of do, because
you want to?
I'm going to because I think this is a competition, and so far, Mike's got 1 point. So I'm going to go with Brian Leetch, who I think is the greatest American defenseman of all time, and I also I put that above and I have that debate all the time with people about Chelios.
Or Chelios, that's the prevailing thought.
But to me, Leetch was just so smooth, and Chelios had more of a grit to his game for sure than Leach did, but Leach was crazy good and obviously helped the Rangers to win a Stanley Cup, but before that was also just phenomenal. So I am going to go with Brian Leach and then put the onus on you to come up with something better than that, Russ.
No, I'm going Brian Leach because that's the way I have to go. Best player ever out of Corpus Christi, Texas, even though he didn't live there.
For this game, but I don't think you're allowed to pick something that we pick. I think
Chester, Connecticut.
It's too bad because that's who I was going to pick. First American.
Fun at all. All right, fine.
First American to win the Conn Smythe. But here's above all those things, here's the thing that I think he did that nobody else has ever done or may never do again. He went from Boston College to the Olympics to the Rangers in one season.
That's true.
That's crazy.
Ken Morrow did that.
Ken Morrow did that too.
Did
Yeah.
he do that too, from college to the Olympics to the Islanders. Okay.
And won a cup that year too. Won a gold medal and a cup.
And the cup.
That's crazy.
That was something else. But all right. So if you're gonna do that, really, if those are the rules,
I am doing that because
I thought we should.
know Brian Leach. There's no way I could vote another way. He was #1 in my Ranger book. There's no way I could do anything.
I'll give you Brian Leach, and I'll go with Mark Howe because Mark Howe. I'll go aside from Mark Howe, who was just to honor Gordy as well, but Mark was an incredible defenseman and
he was incredible.
And just talk about smooth, I would say Leach and Howe were comparable as far as just their skating abilities go.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Howe, to me, another thing they were very similar players in a lot of ways, Leach and Howe. But one of the things that I loved about Howe was his wrist shot from the point was phenomenal. People didn't put a lot into sucking that. He could put a puck anywhere from the point, and he was incredible at putting it into deflection spots. That was the key thing. He would put the puck on net in a way that anybody in that era, whether it's
Tim Kerr.
Yeah, Tim Kerr, Rick Tocchet, Brian Propp, all the way, through
this is unverified. I think Leach is the last defenseman to have a 100-plus point season with that 105-point season, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah. So that's a good. That's a really good one.
Howe was just a tremendous. It was a shame he was Gordie Howe's son in a way because if he wasn't Gordie Howe's son, we would talk about him in much greater terms.
And it took him a while, I think, to get in the Hall of Fame for the same reason. But he's in there. He should be in there. He was just such a smooth player and still such a great guy. And in the Flyers press box all the time, so we get to see him a lot. Other mentions here: Eddie Shore. Okay.
Old time hockey.
Old time hockey. We were talking about Slapshot yesterday. Eddie Shore. There he is. Number 2. Number 2 in your hearts and on your program, Eddie Shore.
Ian Turnbull.
Ian Turnbull.
Get out with Ian Turnbull. He was. Come on.
I had to mention him. Sorry.
Jacques Laperriere was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I thought about him too. But yeah, I think that to me those are the ones. So we'll go with the 4 there, Mark Howe, and if maybe we'll get a write-in vote for Eddie Shore if people want that to be done.
Seriously, if Brian Leach doesn't win this, everybody out there is an idiot. Sorry.
You can make him. Come on, you're talking about Doug Harvey.
Vote for Doug Harvey.
I'm kidding.
Threatening people before a vote is very Trump of you, but don't do that.
That's a good way to end this show right there.
Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you tomorrow.